He walks out on the courthouse steps, and his reply was, "He's Vincent f***ing McMahon."
You want to make mention of the WWE UFC merger into TKO, and more specifically, Vince McMahon and how much longer he can actually be part of this group. I think he is, off the top of my head, 16% owner still, so he's still got about 16% shares in the company. But yeah, Vince McMahon and how much longer he can last in power.
It's an interesting conversation. The only reason I bring it up is, again, yesterday, as I was telling you, I was online checking. I saw the first headline that Dolph Ziggler had been let go, and I've been a big Dolph fan, for a long, long time, and really vastly underused in my belief. So I clicked on it just to read that, and there's as everybody out there knows, there were a ton of attached stories, and one of them about was the merger. So I clicked on it. And the writer of this story, as I proffered it up to before we started, it's rare in America here. It's been a while, I should say, that I've seen outward criticism, like from the mainstream, to the promotion. It's usually just like the raw puff pieces. And this particular writer was asking how long they would be able to keep Vince McMahon in that position. And the exact quote was, facing imminent federal indictment. I think that's taken on a bit of I think most people out there don't really understand what a federal indictment means. Basically, just means being charged. In America, we have the saying, "You're innocent until proven guilty." But point made that it is a less so today, but still there that if you get indicted by the federal government, there's sort of an assumption, like Bob Mendez, the senator, Robert Menendez from New Jersey, was indicted, I believe, yesterday or today's Sunday. So yes, Friday, for overseeing the federal aid over $1 billion, $1.8 billion to Egypt. Allegedly, he's been accused of taking gold bars and cash from these people too, which is just as smarmy as can be. I mean, that's, at that age, meant to go to Egypt. Every dollar of that should go to Egypt. But he's been indicted, and he'll have his day in court and be able to. Now, that said, in federal courts here, again, not to bore everybody listening, because I'm supposed to be a wrestling podcast, but federal prosecutors have something like a 97% success rate, right? They have unlimited resources. They can just bury you under anything. So the idea you're getting a fair trial is sort of laughable. The Fourth Amendment is sort of usurped like a lot of the others. But so like when you see this headline, or not the headline, but this sentence in this article that Vince McMahon, how long can they keep him in this position? He's facing imminent federal indictment, and it's a poignant question, for a company, especially today, right? As public image aware and nervous as companies are. Nobody want to look at Bud Light, right? You're paying the price. So I wonder with them. I mean, Vince McMahon is one of those iconic names, right? But for a company like that big, I always say those companies that size, one of the things that ECW had in relation, one of the benefits we had in relative to say WCW and WWF then, was that we were nimble. We could turn on a dime. Those were the Titanic trying to miss the iceberg, right? It takes a long time to get those ships to veer. And even bigger now, they've merged with UFC. So I think it's a relevant question. I'd like to see what else. All I've heard is that he's being investigated for this. I don't know if an indictment is imminent.
Well, let me add this. They raided his house a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't like a theory going around. I mean, the federal government are more than interested in Vince at this point.
Oh, no question. But a raid does not an indictment make. No. I certainly pushes you much closer to it, clearly. But lots of people have that. And I think we've seen that in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, at least, that's making news where you see these people raided, these dramatic raids, and all of a sudden it sort of withers on the vine, or they're found not guilty, or the charges are dropped or overturned. So, I think Vince, like every other one of us, should have his day in court. But I would imagine there's the one thing, and we could probably go on a whole episode with this, and I'll try to wrap it up with this. Having been, and if everybody remember, back, and you're probably too young, to the steroid trial in the 80s, he shows up in court with the neck brace on and everything.
No, it was actually 94. 94.
Oh, was that 94?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was shortly before you returned, I think, that he was acquitted. So maybe it was 94, yeah.
Yeah, and you know how your brain sort of compresses these years all together. But he walks out on the courthouse steps, and his reply was, "He's Vincent fucking McMahon." And you know, the one thing you don't do with the feds is poke them, you know, and spit in their eye, pull on Superman's cape, because they will. Let's say I'm the agent that was overseeing that case. When I get to the end and I'm clearing my file cabinet, I see that one, and I vividly remember that comment. And you're the guy coming in. I go, hey, keep a close eye on this guy, right? Keeps it alive forever. You know, and they might just be unfairly gunning for him. You know, so there's a lot of smoke here. I want to wait until we see a little bit more of what did they find in the raid. The thing that I think mystifies me more with UFC and keeping him on, first of all, 16%, depending if it's preferred stock or whatever. As soon as you go under that 50% mark, you can be 49.9%. You're the minority shareholder, right? So the other guys, I mean, I'm guessing for $9 billion, they didn't take a minority share. Obviously, they've got to be very concerned with their product. It's an amazing juggernaut right now, UFC. But as we've seen, like again with Bud Light, these things can derail fairly quickly. So they've got some P's and Q's to sort of traverse there. For me, though, I'm curious to sit and watch and see, like, what is the evidence? Like, is an indictment imminent? And if so, what's in the indictment? We'll see. But it's something that I think everybody should keep their eyes on, because it's a huge, gigantic merger. You know, and Vince McMahon is one of those worldwide faces that people know. So it's going to be interesting to keep eyes on.
Just a little as an aside, Hulk Hogan, who was in WCW at the time, he just signed, and then he ended up being in the steroid trial. I think he was sort of brought in to testify against Vince, but basically testifies for him.
Yeah, turned hostile.
Do you know what he, with being in WCW, do you know what he told reporters outside the court?
I can't remember. I remember he had a...
He basically said, "Watch the WCW pay-per-view this Sunday, brother."
Is that right?
Yes.
Tremendous.
How fantastic is that?